So first thing you need to remember the fact that Sn is equal to Sn minus 1 plus Tn. Okay? I explained how you get this equation. Now I want you to be aware that this equation can be written in many forms. You can also write it as Tn is equal to Sn minus 1. Okay? I spoke about that equation, I think it was yesterday. All right? So, it's very important for you to be aware that if you are given, say, S3, for example, okay, I'm just saying S3. Now, before we move on here, always be aware that if I give you S3, it means that this is equal to T1 plus T2 plus T3. That's what it means. Okay? S3 means we are adding 3 terms of the arithmetic sequence. So T1 plus T2 plus T3. Now it's extremely important for you to know that always S1 will be equal to T1. So if you've got one term in that sequence, which is not normal, it means that the sum of one term is equivalent to that term. So S1 will be equal to what? To T1. Also, S2 is going to be equal to T1 plus T2. Okay? So, before you start answering these questions there, you need to know this. Okay? In your examination on arithmetic, you may also get a question of this type. Now, as you start practicing, you are going to encounter questions on the arithmetic series where you need to know what I just wrote down. All right? So, let's move on to the question now. I need to start from start of question. All right, let me start from scratch. Even though I've got the question, but I want to start a question. Right, so let me do it here. So this is 3.1. So we are given Sn is equal to 43n minus 6n squared. Right? Now what does the question say? The question says determine the first 3 terms and the nth term of the sequence. So the question has got 2 parts. We need to determine the first 3 terms, then we also need to determine the general term or the nth term. Right? So first we need to know that S1 means the first term or the sum of one term, which is going to be that term itself. So this will be 43 times 1 minus 6 times 1 squared. If you simplify this, you get 43 minus 6, and this will give you 37. Now, that 37, it therefore means that T1 is equal to what? To 37. It's important for you to know that S1 is equal to T1. Okay? And I indicated that here. S1 is equal to T1. So already we now have the first term. Alright? Now we need to find what? S2. Now when we find S2, be aware that S2 is equal to T1 plus what? T2. So S2 is going to be equal to 43 times 2 minus 6 times 2 squared. This is equal to 86 minus 24. And the answer that you get there is 62. Please be aware that 62 is not T2. It's S2. The sum of T1 and what? T2. Therefore, T2 is going to be 62 minus T1, which is what? 37. And the answer that you get here is 25. Is it making sense? What position?
Okay, so you see there, it was SA equals 48, 48 divided by 6x. And then the next step, you replace the 8 with the 1. Put it in the 1.
Okay.
What this is safe.
This is the what? The series, right? The series has got a first term, which is given by, which has got the position n equal to 1. It has got a second term, which has got a position n equal to 2, and so on. So the n represents the position of the term in the what? Series. Now, also the n also represents, when it's more than, when n is more than 1, it represents the sum of terms, or rather the number of terms that were added. So if I say S2, it means we added what? 2 terms. If I say S3, we added what? 3 terms. Okay? So we always start from n equal to what? 1. And S1 is equal to T1. S1 means we are only adding 1 term. Okay? So you can't add one term to another term. Means that sum, which is S1, is equivalent to what? To T1. That I indicated here. So S1 is equal to what? To T1. Then S2 is equal to T1 plus T2. So S2 means we are adding 2 terms. S3, 3 terms. Right? So I found T1 first. I need to get the first 3 terms of that series. Right? Okay? It says sequence, but it's the same thing. A sequence and a series are connected. Remember, I told that a series is an addition of terms in a sequence. Okay? So S2 will be equal to, I calculated, I got 62. This 62 means if you add 2 terms, you get what? 62. But the good thing is we got the first term. So how do you get the second one? You subtract 37 from what? 62. And you get 25. So 37 plus 25 is at 62. So we have got 2 terms so far. Are you following? Right? Then the third term. The third term. So to get the third term, obviously it will be S3. We need to get S3, so that will be 43 times 3 minus 6 times 3 squared. Right? So this gives you 129 minus, okay, that's 9 times 6, that's 54. Right? If you do a subtraction there, you will get 75. Okay? You get 75. So this gives you 75. The 25 is the second term. Okay. Because S2, this is S2, it's not T2. Okay? S2 means the sum of 2 terms of the sequence. But what's the first term? Or what's the first term? The first term is what? 37. What will be the second term? You subtract the first term from the sum of the first 2 terms. Are you following that? Alright? Then to get the sum of 3 terms, it's S3 equal to that, we've got 75 here. 43 times 3 is 129, am I right? You've got calculators. Right? 129 minus 54 gives you 75. So this 75 here That's S3, the sum of T1 plus T2 plus T3. Okay? So if I want to get T3, it means I have to subtract the sum of T1 and T2 from 75. All right, let me just give you an illustration. Let's say I give Bayanda 100 rand, and then I'll give a Sinclair maybe 75 rand. Okay? And then Busiso, okay, I'll give him 50 rand. Right? What is the, okay, well, what is the total here? 152, 225 what? Rand. Am I right? Let's say we remove hair from here, and then you say, okay, I've got 225 rand, right? I've got 225 rand. I give Bayanda 100 rand, then I give Sibusiso 150. How much is she gonna get? How do you get that amount? Right. Okay, wait. Listen. Don't complicate things. How many people do we have here? In total, there are 3, right? Let's say we remove hair from this list. I just want you to understand what I'm doing there. Right? I give Sibusiso 50 rand, give Bayanda 100. Right? How much will I be left with? How did you get it? That's the same thing here. We have got T1, we have got T2. The sum of those two is what? Now we have got the sum of all 3. It's what? 75. So what's T3? Thank you. 75 minus what? 662. 25 is T2. Okay, so here, because of my space, can you allow me just to do the work? Okay, let me do it on the next page. Let me carry on the next page. So if I want to get T3 is going to be equal to S3 minus S2. Remember this? Tn equal to Sn minus Sn minus 1. It's the same thing now. But here now we are putting numbers. Where there is n here, you put 3, you put 3 here. Where there is n, you put 3. Because we want to find what? T3. So where there is n there, you put 3, you put 3 there. So you end up having S3 minus what? S2. That's why yesterday I said, make sure you understand this. Because there are some questions under sequence and series where you have to apply that. Okay? So if I want to get T3, it's equal to S3 minus S2. What that means is, S3 is the total of all the 3 numbers. Right? S2 is the total of the first 2 numbers. So what's the value of the third one? You find the sum of all 3, subtract the sum of 2 from the sum of all 3. Right? So here we have 75 minus 62, and your answer will be 30. Therefore, the three terms in that sequence, now we have to write them based on the order, right? So we started with 37, then we have 25, now we have what? 13. Now if you try to find a common difference here, it's gonna be a negative. Am I right? 25 minus 37, that's negative 12. 13 minus 25, that's negative 12. So these are the answers. Okay, do you want to start copying from here? Is the nth term of the sequence. The nth term is also called the general term. So we now know the first three terms. Right? Make sure you remember that. Right? So the next part is to find, we have got three terms. Right? Our D is going to be negative 12. That's our D. Right? So what this means is A is 37, D is negative 12, and N. Now, N is unknown because we want to find the general term. So N is equal to N. Right? N is equal to what? N. Because we need to find the nth term. That is the general term that we can use to find all the terms in the sequence. Okay? So we use Tn equal to A plus N minus 1 times D. If you simplify this, you get Tn equal to 37 plus N minus 1 times D, which is negative 12. So you get 37 plus, rather I'll put minus there, minus what? Minus 12n. Minus 1 times minus 12, that gives you positive 12. Are you following? Yes. Then 37 plus 12 will give us 49, so we end up having minus 12n plus 49. So that's our general term. If you want, you can use the grade 10 or 11 formula. Yes, one of the best ways of learning is to write. Okay? Not just to observe. And remember, time cannot easily be recovered. Because when you go home, you start copying the PDF, and start copying down. Time will what? Time won't stop. All right. Is there anybody who has got a question? Is there anyone who has got a question? Well, find that general term, maybe 2-3 marks. Then everything that I did here maybe 5. So total would be around 8. Yeah. Approximately 8. Everything I've done. Alright. Yes. Is there anybody who has got a question? Alright. Can I carry on and do another example? Huh? Or maybe you want to do it yourself? Alright. So let's do 3.2. Right? I'm gonna follow the same procedure. Can we have one lesson, please? Can we have one lesson? I'm going to follow the same procedure, right? So we are given Sn equal to n plus 2n squared, right? S1 will be equal to 1 plus 2 times 1 squared, that's 1 plus 2, and you get a 3, right? What this means is that T1 is also equal to what? To 3. Remember, S1 is equal to T1. Remember that. S1 is equal to T1. Are you following that? S1 is equal to T1. Alright? Then, if I want to find S2, it's going to be equal to T1 plus T2. Okay? So, T2 will be equal to S2 minus T1. In this case, our S2, we don't know it. Right? So, let's find S2. Okay? So, S2 will be equal to 2 plus 2 times 2 squared. You get 2 plus 8, and that will give you 10. So, T2 is going to be S2 minus T1, which is equal to 10 minus 3. And you get T2 as 7. Okay? You're following that? Why? Because then I can put it in the light the way I like. Okay, can I carry on? No. Okay, so remember we are doing 3.2, but that's from Platinum Maths. Okay, by the way, I'm still waiting for your portfolios. Okay, if I didn't teach you last year, I need your portfolio. Okay, I need your portfolio. Can I move on? All right. So we have found T2. Now we need to find. Okay. Tando. What if? What if? Listen. Wait. We are not fighting. Right? What if the other teachers told their learners when they were not supposed to? Okay, look here. My understanding is, if I were to ask you and say, write a few sentences about what an investigation is, what would you say? Finding out. Do you find out by being told, or you find you or you find out by doing it? Listen, yeah. So I think for now, listen. For now, I will just say it's water under the bridge, right? Listen. Okay, listen. I can listen. I'm not omnipresent. I can't be in every teacher's class. Okay, I can't be. Do you know? Okay, listen. Even if it's a test situation, right? A teacher is not supposed to provide too much detail about a test, right? If a teacher does it and I'm not there, that teacher has to take responsibility, not me. You understand? Every teacher has to be as professional as possible, right? So if we are going to give you an investigation and then a specific teacher or even myself, if I start spilling the beans in terms of what's in there, yeah, that's why I'm going to raise that in a meeting. Okay, and the good thing is, I'm going to say that. Right. Okay. All right. Yes. All right. Okay. Can I have your attention, please? I need to carry on with my work. Okay. Wait. The issue, I think, to a certain extent, it was more like covered up a little bit by number one, that assessment did not have a large contribution to your final mark, which means its impact to your final mark was close to 0%. Right? I'll tell you why. Do you know that last year the department did you a lot of favor? Okay, I know you might say, well, what does it mean? Okay. All right. You know when you wrote your end of year, you wrote control tests. They were not examinations. No, they were not examinations. Remember, you did not write 2 3-hour papers at the end of last year. You wrote 2 that were each 2 hours. That's not an examination. The CAPS requirement says you must write an examination which is 3 hours long. Right? Your end of year assessment was not 3 hours. Right? So things were a little bit easier for you. Right? Also, there was a drop in the weightings of the assessments. So what happened was, before your situation, normally your SBA, that is all the class tests that you write, investigations, assignment, they used to contribute 25%. But do you know what happened last year? This was increased to 40%. And then your control test, which you wrote, which was a test at the end of the year, instead of it contributing 75%, this was decreased to 60%. So it somehow advantaged you because that test they were supposed to contribute more, but it ended up contributing what? Less. Now that's not going to happen this year. Yes, it's not going to happen this year. Okay? It's not going to happen this year. Your final examination will not contribute 75%. Your trial examination will contribute 75% to your term 3 mark. Okay? The examination will contribute 75%. Alright? Okay. Let me tell you. What? Yes, your trials are 3 hours, final exam 3 hours. Alright. Can you allow? Okay? Alright. I feel like I need to do another type of example which is slightly more complex. Alright? So let's move on to another example which is more complex, which is this one here.